Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, you may notice my view on screen looks a little different, and the reason for that is that I sort of worked on a bit of a side project this week, which is to build a unified Spectator panel system for the game. So let us dive in. Let's see what is going on here. So you've got this panel, which we can access via the wrist menu. I'm going to turn on my camera preview up here. And let's first look at our desktop camera modes and see what this is all about. Basically, by default, all of this is turned off because this is a little bit expensive. Default basically just makes our camera view look like whatever it would normally look like on our desktop. You'll notice my preview panel stops updating. But yeah, this just looks normal. Just looking back at my desktop, confirming because some of this is still a little glitchy. But in HD Spectator mode, essentially an extra camera is being drawn, which allows us to do a number of cool things, like pick which eye is being used. Here is me aiming down sight aligned with my left eye versus my right eye, and then turn this to right. So aiming down sight lined up with my left eye with my right eye. So you can finally, if you want, even if you just have a friend over or something like that, and you want them to see what you see in your right eye, you can now do so. Whew, awesome. So what else? So we have a bunch of options to play around with how this view works. We can change the FOV, make it super zoomed in. It's just zooming so far into the panel. Oh my god, that's a great looking one, Anton. So let's pull that back out there. Let's stop that nonsense. As well as, like, if we're more in a, like, yeah, let's pretend we're playing even further. Yeah, check out, it's Quake 3. Oh, that's even more nauseating. Set that back to normal. Anton's having a special pants day, if you couldn't tell. But we also have a bunch of these smoothing options. By default, this is just one-to-one tracking my head. As you can see, it's sort of, you get very sharp movements, which can be a little nauseating to watch. You can add a bunch of smoothing. So I'm going to turn on maximum linear and angular smooth, and you'll notice, as I look around, we get this very almost like Steadicam feel to things. Very video gamey in certain ways. And we can even, if even the like side-to-side movement you don't really dig, we have something called roll removal, which can fractionally remove it. So I can tip my head all the way to the side and the camera only goes part of the way. Or I can turn it all the way on, and no matter how much I tilt my head to the side, it doesn't actually rotate the camera. You're gonna have to take my word for it that I'll move my gun with my head here. So helps give you an idea of how much this is being smoothed. So yeah, so that's our default Spectator cam, and we've got render quality options. We can make it cheaper by sort of like turning off the post effects and MSAA or having them on. So cool. So that is that. Still working. I'm gonna just confirm everything still looks correct here. Cool. So on to our next option, third person. Boop. Which at first you might be like, well, it just looks like some floating controllers and a gun. Well, you can enable a meaty player body. Boop. Hey, Ma. How's it going? Let's put a more standard one on here. So I'm now a shot dog. Actually, if we wanted this to look more like an actual third-person shooter, we'd probably want to turn roll removal all the way on, and then probably make the angular smoothing a little more responsive. Maybe 2. Depends on whether this is a game being played with a mouse or a controller, I imagine. Oh, let's huff along here. Haha, so much fun. So yeah, so that's that working right now. I'm still futzing with this. There are still some performance spikes occurring with certain things. I still need to make sure this body only collides with the environment, but I need to like double check that the way that I'm moving it around in the space is not causing undue performance spikes just on its own. But yeah, we can change the FOV still with this. We also got two separate options. We can choose the distance that the third-person camera is, so it can be really uptight close with a wide FOV, far away, but with a more narrow one. Man, it is just so much fun being able to watch the gesture of a gun being moved around like that, but with like, you know, your standard third-person game camera. And of course, we can also change the side offset, how close to center or off to the side the camera is. So yeah, boom. So that is working there. Let's go back to HD spec. We've also got this option called spawned object, and there are two spawnable objects now. I'm going to turn off the smoothing momentarily for it. Let's spawn the camera here and the rail cam here, which I'll put that in my pocket. Actually need to go get myself a gun that has a rail on it. What are we in the mood for? Yeah, let's pull out our Mark 18. That sounds fun. Perfect. Let's spawn ourselves some volunteers. Sorry about this, fellas. Cool. So let's first do this one. Basically, I just have to click the trigger and then click spawned object. Boop. Oh, look at this. Here we go. There we go. Third-person camera. Doing some third-person dancing. Dancing with our guns. Whee! So yeah, so that is how this works. And all the same smoothing options still work on it. So here's me, you know, rotating the camera really rapidly like that. If I turn on all the smoothing options for it, much more smooth. And I can even do roll removal for this one as well. So I can, almost like a perfect steady cam, I can just move this around. I still need to, right now, if you go forward too fast, the camera sort of goes past the draw camera, so I still need to add like a draw layer that prevents the camera from seeing itself. But yeah, you can turn off linear smooth for now, and that can't happen. But we still get all of the really nice rotational smoothing. And here we have a fine wiener trying out one of our new fall collection editions. What do you think? Oh, I think it's very comfortable, Bob. So yeah, come back over here, and let's try our other attachment. If I put this rail camera on my gun like so, we're going to turn off the smoothing again, and then if I grab it and click up, we now have ourselves a rail camera. Full disclosure, this is an idea I pilfered from someone in the community. I did not come up with this genius here. Once again, linear smooth is not the best idea, because then the sort of like, based upon how you move it, you see the gun. But the angular smooth actually is pretty neat. It still clips into the gun slightly at moments. Can even turn on roll removal. And yeah, functions just sort of like a camera. A camera with bullets. Day in the life of a gun. Is that bacon I smell? Oh. Bacon! Yep, did not get enough.
You need to pick a new career.
You really do. As you can tell, Anton didn't get enough sleep last night. Anywho, so that is our spawned object. And now for possibly the darkest of, of our new modes, we have SOSIG view. Let's take a look at SOSIG view. Let's find ourselves a volunteer. We got to find one that doesn't have like a gas mask or goggles on. And so the way this works is we just bop them with the panel. Boop. Go into SOSIG view. And now we are seeing the world through this poor volunteer's view. I'm so sorry about this. But the world needs to know what this looks like from your perspective.
Jimmy cranked me, and I don't care.
Yup. Sorry about that. And then... Oh, I'm sorry if that's dizzying to you folks at home. Let's go find another. Yeah, it was one of those when I was playing around with folks on the stream the other night. We all got to discover together just how messed up it is to watch a SOSIG get shot from its perspective by you.
Oh, darn it.
Someone's like, wow, this is, H3 can now be played in second person perspective? That's a little weird. So, yeah. Sorry about all this, buddy.
Oh, darn it.
Whack. Career mistakes for sure. Oh! That was a little close, a little personal space there, buddy. Anyway, so you get the picture. But yeah, oops! Wow, that was a peculiar. Let's rack our pistol against a panel and shoot it. Yeah. Anywho, well, that should give you. Ooh, that camera glitching out. I'm gonna have to figure out why that happened. Huh. It's probably a whole bunch of the ray casting I'm doing for placing it. Is that better? Anywho, as I said, there's a reason I'm not pushing this live yet. This has not been thoroughly tested enough. But yeah, so that should give you an idea of what I am getting working with this, and you will soon be able to play, dress up, and I'm sure make all sorts of really ridiculous content using the game with these new filming tools with Sauce Filmmaker. Yeah. Also, a generous pun donation by the community. Anywho, let's jump out of VR and see what else we're working on this week. Yo! So I hope you are excited to play with that stuff. I know it's mainly geared towards folks who are like using H3 for content creation or memeing with it or streaming or what have you. But I know a lot of folks also play with like friends over or with other folks around, and figured it would be fun to give you folks a bunch of different options for what gets displayed to the screen while you play. I've done bits and pieces of this, over the course of things for a while. Like I did an experiment with like a third-person camera following you. I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe even longer. Who knows? With COVID, just time doesn't mean anything. But got inspired and just decided to throw a bunch of those experiments and some pre-existing code together to put something. And honestly, it became suddenly way more doable to do what I had wanted to do, which was with a third-person body where you look like a SOSIG, because of stuff that I'm doing for Game Planner. Like, I had to build all of this unified infrastructure for combing through the entire game for all of the different types of SOSIGs that can be spawned in a unified way that can just be looked up with an ID. And once I got that infrastructure written, I was like, oh, I can add this into a Spectator panel in like 20 minutes. So it's one of those. I imagine as I continue to work on Game Planner stuff, I'll end up building some infrastructure for it. I had this idea for a thing, X amount of months or years back, but didn't have the infrastructure or inbuilt systems to be able to do it conveniently, and now I suddenly do. So that's super exciting. So yeah, in addition to the Spectator cam stuff that I showed you, the other thing that I've been working on this past week is buttoning up all of the ballistics changes from the past couple weeks. fixing a couple bugs, tuning a little bit of the math. I had found someone who was basically talking about how the shot distribution for, like, let's say you have like a 1 MOA rifle. The shot, like if you fire 10 shots, the distribution of them across that whole angular range shouldn't be linear. It should follow the normal distribution in statistics. And so this is to say that the least accurate shot in like a large grouping of shots, like 20 or 100, should still be at that sort of maximum amount of sort of like the way the accuracy of the platform is being represented, but way more of them should be clustered significantly closer to the bore axis. So in a way, now that I've done that, fixed everything, got more accurate on average, even if the maximum inaccuracy didn't change, if that makes sense. There are also a couple other funny bugs, like where if you stacked 20 barrel extenders, I want the sort of shift in total, like, random inaccuracy to accrue with that. But what happened is, because of the hashing system, the point of impact offset multiplied against itself. So you'd put 30 barrel extenders on, and the shot would go like 60 degrees this way and 45 degrees this way, which was not the intended behavior. So that's been fixed. But yeah, and then lastly, anyone I posted a couple shots to the Discord the other night, but I've got some more attachments coming next week, which I'll get into then, that will basically allow you to use a muzzle style attachment to be able to get on stuff that uses pick rails. So basically what it does is it will allow you to functionally put a bipod on almost any gun or at least all the single-barreled weapons in the game, to aid long-distance shooting and things like that. But to do that, I had to go back and like manually change a bunch of things on like every revolver and half of the other handguns, and so I'm still in the middle of that. It's bad. It's a horribly drudgerous work, but it needs to be done. And then once that's all set, those attachments should just work. So yeah, so that just about does it. What this means is that unless I run into like a very peculiar bug or anything like that, or some sort of trouble, next week is probably not going to be an alpha. I think I'm comfortable enough with the ballistics changes in general that I'm ready to roll this all into mainline. So barring any sort of problems, next week should just be update 94 proper, with all this stuff finished and with Spectator Cam stuff for you to try out. And yeah, so I'm excited. Hope you are too. Anywho, that's enough of me rambling. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.